How can you determine which fears are worth facing when you're lost?
How do we know which fears to face when lost? Feeling lost brings up many fears of failure, judgment, the unknown, change, discomfort. It's easy to become overwhelmed by everything that could go wrong, but not every fear that arises warrants equal attention. Some fears protect us, signaling valid perils to avoid. Others aim to keep us small, obstructing growth. How do we discern which fears to lean into and which to let go? Let's explore how to determine which fears serve us versus hold us back when navigating change. Examine the fear, pause, and get curious. Why did this fear arise now? What old stories or beliefs does it reveal? Shining awareness often diffuses unreasonable fears. Consider context. Facing fears that align with your core values makes sense. But don't force yourself to confront fears that violate your ethics or intuition. Assess importance. Which fears point to essential priorities versus superficial worries? Focus energy where it matters most. Check alignment. Does facing this fear align with your vision and highest potential? Or does it direct energy away from your purpose? Calculate risk. Evaluate real hazards involved. Some risks warrant caution, while others only seem risky because they are unknown. Get support. Consult trusted guides to test whether a fear is founded. Their perspective helps determine what requires focus. Examine motives. Fears that protect you will feel different than those keeping you complacent. One liberates, the other limits. Consider timing. Just because a fear arises now doesn't mean you must face it now. Some require patience and preparation. Weigh pros and cons. Will benefits of facing the fear outweigh the costs? Make choices based on what propels your long-term growth. Check intuition. Does confronting a particular fear at this time feel aligned, or does it ignite warning signs of inner resistance? By evaluating fears from multiple angles, we gain clarity about which warrant attention now versus distraction from what matters most. Just because a fear arises doesn't mean we must face it immediately, or even at all. For instance, the fear of leaving an unfulfilling job may signal it's time to move on. But if the fear of not being able to pay bills arises too, that warrants earnest consideration before quitting. Or the fear of ending a relationship might illuminate an opportunity for growth. But if the timing feels off intuitively, patience may better serve the process. Of course, we may still need to sit with uncertainty as we discern which fears to face. Rarely do we receive definitive signs ranking which to tackle first. Discerning wisdom comes gradually through self-inquiry, gathering perspectives, and testing intuition. As you evaluate fears when feeling lost, remember that unease is often part of growth. If comfort is your highest priority, you may resist the very fears that seek to expand your potential. Lean into healthy discomfort while also practicing discernment. A good rule of thumb: face fears aligned with your core values and purpose. Fears protecting outdated structures or stagnancy can be examined, but not necessarily indulged. They aim to maintain complacency, not catalyze growth. For example, the fear of leaving an unfulfilling job to pursue your passion seems aligned with your growth. But the fear of reduced financial security may warrant addressing before you transition. So take it step by step. Start researching new careers and networking while still employed. This small progress builds momentum to eventually make the full leap. But fears based solely on others' expectations aim to maintain status quo. They direct energy away from our soul's growth. We can reflect on these fears without letting them obstruct our purpose. For instance, a hobby may spark judgment from some, but align deeply with your talents and joy. Pursue it while acknowledging, but not acquiescing to unwarranted criticism. Of course, with discernment also comes responsibility. Listen to fears protecting your well-being so you don't rationalize harmful choices. Be wary of fears that violate ethics or feed addiction under the guise of growth. Authentic evolution aligns with our highest principles and potential. Also realize that just because you feel afraid does not mean real danger exists. We all experience fear in unfamiliar territory, even when the risk is purely perceptual. Differentiate between intuitive inner warnings and worries projected by the anxious ego. Slow down and evaluate fears logically before investing energy. Ask empowering questions to determine which fears serve you. How does confronting this fear align with my core values? What outcome do I hope will come from facing this fear? Does this fear illuminate any inner obstacles or limiting beliefs? Does facing this fear feel purposeful or distracting at this point? Am I giving power to fears based on others' expectations versus my own? What tangible risks come with facing this fear? Are they founded? Do the benefits of facing this fear seem to outweigh the costs? Does confronting this fear feel aligned with my long-term vision? What message might this fear's arising have for me now? How can I address valid hazards this fear reveals while not letting it limit me? By objectively evaluating which fears warrant focus when you feel lost, you conserve energy for the ones most essential to your growth. You also build trust in your ability to handle uncertainty mindfully, neither ignoring real danger nor indulging counterproductive worries. Through reflective discernment, you become confident navigating the liminal space between complacency and chaos. You face necessary fears courageously, while also establishing healthy boundaries with limitations that obstruct your purpose. With practice, you learn to honor all feelings as information without letting every fear dictate your actions. Most importantly, remember that fear itself is not the enemy. It is information illuminating where opportunity for growth lives. Sometimes our soul's evolution requires walking through fire. Other times, fear signals we still have inner work to do before taking the next step. Either way, examining fear mindfully reveals the way forward. Rather than resisting or ignoring fear when lost, get curious. Ask what it wishes to show you about hidden limiting beliefs, priorities needing realignment, or aspects of yourself requiring integration. Then let your discoveries guide you as you separate distracting fears from meaningful ones. By leaning into self-inquiry when you feel lost, confusion gives way to clarity. You align actions with your vision while also developing discernment to navigate life's liminal spaces wisely. With practice, you learn to harness all feelings as fodder for growth. The journey of life is one of perpetual recalibration, expanding into new horizons, then integrating lessons before repeating the cycle. Feeling lost are universal prompts for checking alignment. Breathe through these phases, affirming their necessity and clarifying your path. Each time your inner compass wanders, develop greater trust in your ability to find your way again. Let fear illuminate inner obstacles or conflicting priorities needing resolution. Then realign with wisdom and vision to regain momentum. Know that through the messiness of being lost arise moments of profound clarity about your purpose. By courageously examining fears that surface, you reclaim more of your wholeness and power. You shed limiting beliefs so your light can shine brighter. Soon realize all emotions provide invaluable insight into the next phase of your becoming. So when lost, breathe through fear, while also listening to what it reveals. Let it remind you to stay true to your core values, while aligning actions with your highest potentials. Keep taking the next step forward. The way will gradually unfold.